mouth. They put in there, but it gives me a lisp. So I thought I'd skip it for the talk.
We're all friends.
Luckily for me. Most of you here heard me speak last month on the concept of live like you're dying. Today I'm going to speak an addendum on that talk. Most of you also know that a few weeks ago I had my own live like you're dying moment. On the summer solstice, I had a heart attack. I was eventually diagnosed with broken heart syndrome. They used to refer to it as a mini heart attack, which belies the seriousness of the situation. Now they're more likely to call it a slow motion heart attack. I started having chest pains at about 4:30 in the morning. I had had some significant gastrointestinal problems the night before and decided that was the problem. I got up and did my normal summer morning chores. I had set a trap the night before looking to reduce the feral cat population, as we now counted 5. And there was a little girl in the trap crying pitifully, a situation that always hurts my heart. And I finished my chores so as to take her to the SPCA as soon as they opened at 9. Chest pains continued. I even found myself wondering if I was going to collapse at the counter. When I got home, I called the advice nurse, and she resulted in calling 911, and 10 minutes later, I was sitting in a circle of 6 handsome young firefighters, all paying attention to me. The best part of the situation that was going to get bad from there. Soon I was sitting on a gurney in the ER with an IV and getting an EKG. Broken heart presents differently than a standard heart attack, and how heart attacks present in women is not well studied. Add to that unknown gastrointestinal issues confusing symptoms. When chest pains got suddenly and significantly worse, they hit me with nitro, which did not stop the pain as it wasn't a standard heart attack. I was highly resistant to the idea that I was having a heart attack. I wasn't short of breath. I wasn't lightheaded. My oxygen levels were good. Opening up the blood vessels with nitro did not affect the problem. I was active, healthy. I ate well. Okay, I do have a butter and bacon problem, I confess. By that evening, I was checked into the hospital, talking the nurses into allowing me to walk the halls, though the chest pain persisted. I was dissuaded from my delusion the next morning by the doctor. He told me, "You are having a heart attack. Don't you think different?" He didn't say I had had one. He told me I was having one. No more walking the halls. I could go as far as the bathroom, and that was it. I was hooked to machines with a leash of about 6 feet. The automatic blood pressure cuff took my blood pressure every 15 minutes. I was on blood thinners despite having intestinal bleeding. In the first 24 hours, they took blood from me 8 times. I was in a ward just a small step down from the ICU. Having a hip replaced did not make me feel old. The words heart attack did. I wasn't allowed to walk farther than 6 feet. And it hit me. This might really be the real end. Not just that the rest of my life might be short, but that my life, as I knew it, was over. Of course, it can be hard to see things from the inside, and the universe sometimes does me the favor of showing me things from the outside at the same time I'm trying to see them from the inside. There's a woman in my quilt guild. A while ago, people in the guild started to notice that her normally perfect work was a little less than perfect. Not that we have an expectation of anyone to do perfect work, but we noticed, and it concerned us. Her normal stellar attention to her obligations was also sliding. She had volunteered for a committee, had taken on commitments, and she kept falling down on them. Sometimes people used to her always doing what was expected started to chastise her for forgetting important things, coming to the conclusion, without realizing it, that the problem was just that she wasn't paying attention, wasn't giving it the importance that it deserved. Finally, the constant and growing chorus of the words, "I'm sorry, I forgot," coming out of her mouth began to worry her, and she went to the doctor. The result was a diagnosis of rapid onset dementia. I didn't know there was such a thing, but it was, apparently, clearly visible on her brain scans and tests. She was told she could not get behind the wheel of a car, not one more time. She couldn't use machinery. They even took away her phone. I don't know what time frame was given to her for further deterioration, but whatever it was brutal. And just like that, life as she knew it ended. There was no hiking up mountains, no jumping out of airplanes. There was no final vacation with her sister, or even turning a box of amazing and perfect quilting blocks into a final quilt. Soon after that, she was at a Norwax party. Norwax is a cleaning product company that markets through home parties. But she wasn't much involved in the party. In fact, tears kept welling up in her eyes, and after not much time, she let people know that all she wanted to do was go home. No one said it to her, but there was talk about what a shame it was that she withdrew rather than engaging while she could, a subtle judgment that she should be living like you're dying. She should be like a person in a song, in a poem, in a movie. How arrogant we were. And when I was sitting in a hospital bed with tears running down my face, I couldn't stop. When I was looking at my life as I knew it being over, with a normal heart attack, hard work is over. If I can't work anymore, we have to sell the property. Neither one of us can carry it alone. Chris is full up, keeping up his end. If I can't do mine, we can't get it done. Oh, sure, it's easy to say to someone that they are more than the work they do, the things they do. I've said it myself. Usually talking to a man who's just had a heart attack or some other brutal reality check, chastising him for not being willing to look at all the other things he is besides his work, explaining to him, no, lecturing him for not seeing everything he is to his wife other than his paycheck. But when you're sitting there and a huge chunk of what you yourself identify as just went away, when the things that the people you love depend on you for, you can't do anymore. I knew then just how arrogant I was, how foolish I was to think that mere mortals are going to step out of that brutal reality and decide to go jump on a rodeo bull. I was lucky. Thank you. I was lucky. I got a reprieve. Broken heart is recoverable. I don't need to face that reality now. But for nearly 24 hours, I had to look at it. I was forced to understand what it really, really meant. There was a movie that came out in 1970 called Love Story. A woman was dying of cancer, and the movie followed the emotional journey she walked with her loved ones up until death. In her death scene, She laid on the bed, her makeup perfect, her cheeks rosy, the music swelling, and she positively glowed as she approached the end. Anyone who's watched someone die of cancer or any wasting disease knows this is not how it looks. It is a painful, ugly, and brutal process, not swelling music and rosy cheeks. Likewise, the reality of living like you're dying is not swelling music and a remarkable glow. It is a brutal reality of loss and fear. And I want to tell you now, I rescind everything I said about living like you're dying. It isn't glorious. It isn't song. It isn't poetry. It sucks. Today I'm telling you, live like you're living. Grab a hold of it with both hands and hold on to it with everything you have. Hold on to it for dear life. And don't let go. Live like you're living every day you can. Don't live like you're dying until you're forced to, because most of us, someday, we will be forced to. Live like you still have tomorrow. Live like you can still tote that barge and lift that bale. Live like you can still make the points on your quilting squares match. Live like you still recognize your grandchildren. Every day you can. And don't you ever, ever let anyone tell you that you should do anything different until reality forces you to. Amen.
Amen.